All right, man, how's it going? We'll just get started here. It's already 9:01, I believe. Yeah, cool. All right, so today we're doing Navigating the Sky, Mastering the Check Ride Prep using the ACS. Here's the outline. We're going to start with a little bit of background. We'll talk about backwards planning. We're going to talk about some tools for success, cool tools for success. My name is Monty. I'm a U.S. Army veteran and a former airborne ranger. Now I'm a flight instructor, and my whole goal is to help you learn how to fly airplanes. So we're going to talk about the check ride, how it works, how to study for it, and then if you have any questions at all, just send it. Okay. So the private pilot check ride, private instrument and commercial, all kind of follow the same flow, while the CFI and the CFII check rides are a little different. The private instrument and commercial check rides, essentially the DPE is going to give you a cross-country flight with some weight and balance problem, and you're going to have to plan for a cross-country flight. And then I like to equate it to like defending your doctoral dissertation. You show up with your plan, and the DPE is just going to poke holes in it and ask you questions specific to your route. And then, of course, they're going to add some additional questions relevant to being a pilot. And then the CFI and CFII check rides are much more about teaching it. So these are usually, maybe a couple hours. The CFI and the CFII check rides are a little bit longer because you have to show up and teach, not only defend your routes, but also be able to have an instructional knowledge of the topics. And so let's talk about the curve of forgetting. If you were to go to class and study a topic once and not review it again, your retention of the knowledge is going to degrade over time. If you review the topic a little bit later, you're going to remember more and more of the topic the more you review. And so I like to do something called spaced repetition for preparing for, well, any test, but especially the check ride. So we're going to use that to tackle the check ride. So what I like to do is something called backwards planning. We do this a lot in the Army. So we set an objective date and then we work backwards. We identify what we need to study, determine the amount of time we can dedicate to the topics, and then create a study schedule and then stick with it. For example, if we have 24 days between now and the check ride, and there are 12 chapters in the ACS or the Airman Certification Standard, we can use a little bit of math to attack the ACS and create a really good study plan. For example, if there are 24 days and we want to hit each topic 4 times between now and the check ride, we can divide 24 by 4. That gives us 6 days per section. And there are 12 chapters. Divide that by 6 days. We are left with 2 chapters per day. So if we make a study plan, if we start tomorrow, we hit 2 chapters a day. Every 6 days, we will renew or we'll restart the study program, and we'll be able to hit every single topic at least 4 times between now and the check ride. It'll be a systematic way of studying, and you'll know that you have hit everything you need to hit 4 times. Now let's talk about how we might structure that. Now, the ACS, the Airman Certification Standard, is the standard to which the DPE is going to be testing you. So that is your go-to guide. And then you can also use things like the oral exam guide, M0A's Pass Your Private Pilot audiobook, the FAR/AIM Airplane Flying Handbook, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge. Great tools, but we're going to focus on the ACS today and show why that's a good way to go. So let's switch gears here. This is the Airman Certification Standard for the private pilot check ride. What's neat about this is it gives you everything you need to know for the check ride. For example, chapter 1 is all the stuff that you need to know for pre-flight procedures. Chapter 3 is going to be your airport and seaplane base operations. By the way, this isn't just for airplane single engine land. This is also for airplane single engine sea, multi-engine private pilots. So there are some things that you don't necessarily need to cover. So it's a big, hairy, scary book. You don't have to know everything in the book, only the things that apply to you as a private pilot. Okay, so let's pull up the very first one, pilot qualifications. What's great about this, here's your task. Here are your references. These are the books that you need to go review if you are unclear, if you want to go study more about this. There's the regulations, parts 61, 68, and 91. You can pull up the FAR/AIM and review those regulations. FAA H8083-2. What the heck is that? Well, if you Google it, that's the Risk Management Handbook, and that you can get that for free at the FAA website, and I'll post that link down in the description when I post this video. There is FAA-H-8083-25, which, if I'm not mistaken, is, yep, the Pilot's Handbook of Aeronautical Knowledge, and AC 68-1, which is all about basic med and medical, right? So right off the bat, it gives you all the books you need to study for this specific topic. Now let's talk about the objective, what the point of this part of the checkride is. This is to determine that the applicant exhibits satisfactory knowledge, risk management, and skills associated with airman and medical certificates, including privileges, limitations, currency, and operating as pilot in command as a private pilot. Make sense? Now, here is all the knowledge you need to know. You demonstrate understanding of the certification requirements, recent flight experience and record keeping, privileges and limitations, medical certificates, class expiration privileges, temporary disqualifications, documents required to exercise your private pilot privileges, and Part 68 basic med privileges and limitations. Now, some of this stuff doesn't necessarily apply to you. If you've got a third-class medical, you might not worry so much about, using basic med, but as a private pilot, you should have at least a working knowledge of it or know where to reference it if you need to look it up. For example, if you are a 25-year-old private pilot with a third-class medical, you might necessarily not care about what a 40-year-old pilot with a third-class medical and how long his medical might apply. But you should know it because you are a good private pilot. Now, here's your risk management. I like to think of this as, how do you fail the check ride? Right? The applicant demonstrates the ability to identify, assess, and mitigate risks encompassing. So if you fail to distinguish between proficiency and currency, if you say, yeah, I'm totally fine flying an unfamiliar plane or operating unfamiliar flight display systems in avionics, remember to stay humble. Yeah, we're all pilots. We're Class A type personalities. We think we can do anything, but take a beat and understand that there are planes that might be unfamiliar to you, make wise decisions. The whole point of the check ride is to demonstrate that you're going to be making safe choices as a pilot. Now, here are the skills that you must demonstrate: your ability to apply requirements to act as PIC under visual flight rules in a scenario given by the evaluator. And again, most of the check ride is scenario based. It's around a situation that they've given you or a scenario they've given you. Okay, so that's some pre-flight stuff. Let's move on to some of my favorite stuff, instrument flying. So we'll go to the table of contents, basic instrument maneuvers, and let's just go to the first one. By the way, the three main points on the private pilot check ride that you need to hit flying IFR: aviate, navigate, communicate. You need to be able to fly the plane safely, navigate, know where you are, and then communicate, use the radios effectively. In the aviate part, you have to be able to fly straight and level, climb, descend, turn, the basic maneuvers, and then also recover from unusual attitudes. And that's all going to be on the check ride, and it'll be laid out here in the ACS. Okay, so basic instrument maneuvers. Here are our references: FAA-H-8083-2, and that again is the Risk Management Handbook. Review that all the time. And then 8083-3, what's that one? 8083-3, the Airplane Flying Handbook, makes sense. And finally 8083-15, which is the Instrument Flying Handbook, right? Which again makes sense. If we're going to be flying under the hood, the Instrument Flying Handbook is going to be your go-to guide. Here's the objective, again, to determine that the applicant exhibits satisfactory knowledge, risk management, and skills associated with flying during straight and level flight solely by reference to instruments. You must demonstrate understanding of flight instruments as related to sensitivity, limitations, and potential errors and unusual attitudes, correlation, pitch instruments, and bank instruments, function and operation of the instruments, and proper instrument cross-check techniques. Now, again, this is how you fail it, at least the way I like to think of it. The applicant demonstrates the ability to identify, assess, and mitigate risks encompassing instrument flying hazards to include failure to maintain VFR, spatial disorientation, loss of control, fatigue, stress, and emergency off-airport landings, failure to seek assistance or declare an emergency in a deteriorating situation, collision hazards to include aircraft terrain, obstacles, and wires, distractions, loss of SA, and or improper task management. And here, these are the parameters that you must fly. Once you get to the flying portion of it, this is how you must fly. Maintain straight and level flight using proper instrument cross-check and interpretation and coordinated control application, and maintain altitude plus or minus 200 feet, heading of plus or minus 20 degrees, and airspeed of plus or minus 10 knots. This right here, these are the parameters you must fly this maneuver under to pass. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. I feel like you get the point. Use the ACS. Go take a look at the references, run through it. Review 2 chapters of these a day. I mean, again, base it off your objectives, but that's how I do it. Not necessarily how you must do it, but how I would do it. All right, switching up. Bam, here are all the links to the books that you can get. I'll post this in the description and in our group thing on the website. And if you have any questions, drop them in the comments. Austin, I imagine you probably know how to pass a check right at this point already. So I'm not gonna I'm gonna assume you're good to go.